Hey everybody, it's the dude here to bring you another video. This week we have just two stories involving four characters. Rick and Michonne and Rosita and Tara. One about a character's want of calm and complacency, and the other about someone who wants to act, but can't. I think these scenes parallel well with one another, but as a whole they serve as transitional stories. This episode builds to, but doesn't deliver in and of itself. It's what episode 12s were made for. But enough of that, let's get into my review and analysis of Season 7, Episode 12 of The Walking Dead. Say Yes. Say Yes is a reference to something Jadis said to Rick in episode 10. It comes back later in this episode. The Scavengers group seems to have devolved slightly, as has their speech pattern and way of negotiating. And Rick's use of this phrase later will show that he is adapting and learning from them, much like they're adapting to him. But first, we open with a montage. Rick and Michonne have been alone in the world for what seems like days, in their van, looking for supplies, killing zombies, and making sweet, sweet love. In the show, this van with an eagle on the side of it belonged to Aiden, Deanna's son. Eugene drove it to save the day that one time before he turned, pure evil. In the comics, Andrea and Dale, if you remember them, found the van right after the prison fell. The gang has it all the way through Alexandria, and are actually stopped by Negan in it when the lineup happens. At their camp, Rick offers to take watch again, having also done it the night before. It's nothing. I like it. Later we find out that Rick isn't sleeping. This being his first interchange of the episode, set up from the beginning that all he can think about at night is Glenn, and that right now he doesn't want to go back to fighting that fight. Michonne says, "We gonna win today?" "Oh yeah, we're gonna need batteries for that walkie too. Get it working again." This is the walkie-talkie that they use to listen in on the Saviors and what they're doing. Wouldn't it be great if right here they're all confident that they're gonna win, and then they run into the Saviors out in the world doing something? Something that could have been avoided if they had batteries. But then in the next scene, oh shit, there's the Saviors. Two of them playing golf. One of them says, "Man, if I hear one more thing about Fat Joey, I am going to fucking..." Rick and Michonne glance at the back of the Saviors truck, and the next thing you know, we are back in the van with some snacks and a fresh set of batteries. Well, there goes that conflict. What even happened? We don't get to see them slyly steal this stuff and or get into a fight and be forced to kill these Saviors. I don't know, it felt like a wasted opportunity to me. The snacks, by the way, are the same bag of packaged pretzels that Dwight brought to Sherry last episode. Michonne says, 2 days. We're gonna need to get back. Day and a half more. Today and tomorrow. We can come out again. We should get back. Just a little more. This is the conversation that Rick and Michonne are going to have for the rest of the episode, and it serves to include a bunch of double lines. For those of you unfamiliar with what a double line is, it is when a character says a line once and then the line is said again with different inflection for more emphasis. It happens all the time in the show, and since the beginning of the season I've been keeping a tally. So let's give one for two variations of Michonne saying, "We need to get back," and another for a little more. We don't have to find them right now. Yeah, no, just a little more. It'd be a triple line. Okay. They look at each other, and Michonne says, "Okay." And once more, Rick says, "Okay." Double line. Back at Alexandria, we see Rosita removing her stitches when Tara shows up, coming apparently to do that for her. Tara looks very disappointed by this. Obviously, this represents that Rosita feels like she doesn't need anyone. She doesn't need any help, and Tara doesn't like that, because she, of course, wants to help her. Tara's like, "Hey, it's gonna work out. We have the numbers. We just need some guns." Rosita says, "Do you know where we could find that many guns today?" And of course, we all know that Tara does know exactly where they can find a boatload of guns. But once again, she chooses to not tell Rosita that, so she leaves, saying that she's gonna go do it herself. Once they've made camp in the woods, Michonne spots a deer. She goes to get her gun and she wakes Rick up. I love how he startles out of his sleep. Of course he is. He spent a large majority of his time in this environment, sleeping on the road where danger was around every corner. We saw Rick wake up like this in episode 7 in a different van with Aaron. When Rick first got to Alexandria, he couldn't sleep and he was just walking around the town. I think this is really important for his character. They both get up to look for the deer, but unfortunately it got away. day. Rick says, I owe you a deer. Rick is referring to back in episode 4 when Michonne showed up as Negan was leaving from his first pickup when he took the deer that she had found. In the woods, however, they see something else. Moments later, now with all of their gear, they head up to a fence. Rick uses his hatchet to draw any walkers near, and in this great silhouette effect, a soldier walker with a gun strapped on him walks up to the fence. Rick puts his hatchet away and lets Michonne do it. A little later, after searching the bodies, Rick finds a number of spent shells. The first thing I thought was, take all the empty bullets you can find for Eugene to make... Oh, wait. They climb up a school bus and then onto the roof to get a better look. Out in the world somewhere else, Rosita approaches an abandoned house. She sees a gun on the front porch. When she goes to get it, a zombie pops out of nowhere, where it takes 3 bloody slices to bring it down, before Rosita sees that the gun is a fake. This is honestly pretty lame and a waste of our time, but I kind of think that Rosita agrees, so I guess it's fine, but we definitely didn't need this scene. Back with Rick and Michonne, when they get to the edge of the rooftop, they see a bunch of walkers in an abandoned carnival. Rick says, there was a fight. They're still wearing their guns. I think this is it. You think we can? And Michonne pulls out her rifle that she's been practicing with, aims it and fires twice. The second shot hitting a bottle. First of 2 major problems, which I'm sure everybody felt as soon as this happened. 1, why are you wasting ammo? You're out here to find guns and ammunition. And 2, if there's one thing I know about zombies, is that if you shoot a gun or make a sound, they would all look at you. And nope, not one of them look at Michonne. It's just stupid. And boy, is it the cherry on the cake when right after it, you hear boom, and they fall through the roof. Okay, so obviously I'm not supposed to take anything seriously in this episode. I'm not supposed to worry if someone's going to die, or if the zombies will hear, or if they're gonna run out of bullets. And that's not really what I'm looking for from The Walking Dead. I mean, they basically just land on a pillow. Michonne's like, this is it. It has to be. And Rick's like, oh, it is. And in front of them is a bunch of sealed food. However slightly unbelievable and cheesy I feel that this is. The next moment is laughter, and the laughter is played over shots of this abandoned carnival, and honestly, it's pretty beautiful. To contrast this dead world with the joy that they've found in it, it's a nice and I think necessary moment. Back at Alexandria at night, Rosita comes into Father Gabriel's church. And before I go into the scene, I gotta say I don't like to complain about this show. I love this show, and I want to continue to love this show, but this scene has some very poorly written dialogue. It's not even dialogue. It starts off with Rosita just explaining stuff that everybody knows. She's like, I didn't find a gun, but I had a gun, I was gonna use it on Negan. Eugene would still be here, Olivia, Spencer, and now they're gone because I was stupid enough to listen to you. What? You didn't listen to him. You tried to shoot Negan. You did your plan, and you failed. You hit Lucille. It had nothing to do with Gabriel. He told you, wait. Don't do that. Things will go wrong, and things did go wrong. What are you talking about, Rosita? Writers? Did I miss something? No, because I've been analyzing every shot of these episodes all season. And he says, I said that you weren't supposed to die. It's easier to be dead. You can certainly blame me for the fact that you have a life. But after that, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to make what needs to happen, happen? I think Christian Charantos plays this moment very well. You can see this moment of change in Rosita. I think the logic and reason of this scene is a little backwards, but I like where it's going. Next we see Rick and Michonne having a nice by candlelight ready-to-eat meal. Michonne's like, so, we get their weapons, right? We get Jadis and her people to fight with us. We kill Negan. And then what happens after that? After that, we keep going. Yeah, but Negan ordered the world his way. It's up to us to reorder it once he's gone, right? Well, the different communities, they can figure it out together, how to keep going together. Yeah, but somebody's got to make that happen. It should be you, not me. Why not? And if it's something that you wanted, well, I don't think I do. Or I would. But the two of us, you and me, reordering things together, I'd want that. Some you wanted. She's like, yeah. And they kiss. I actually really like this. Rick never wanted to be the leader, he's just been thrust into the position, and now to have finally found someone that he can do a job together, it's good to see these things finally being said. What the future will hold. Rick says, you know, we don't have to get it done tomorrow. We can take our time. I mean, the place is clear. We found the only way in, so... And she's like, we should get back. Hey, Michonne got the triple line. And that is our 100th double line. In counting, the season isn't even over. This episode isn't over, and we got 4 more episodes. But hitting 100, that's a huge deal. I would like to thank Robert Kirkman for writing the first double line in the comic series, which was, "We are the Walking Dead. We are the Walking Dead." And then I'd like to thank Andrew Lincoln for giving us our first double line of the season, "I'm gonna kill you." And I'd like to thank everybody who commented about the double lines. Whether or not you thought they were stupid or funny, I agree either way. Rick keeps pushing to stay out longer, but is he not thinking about Carl and his baby? I mean, we haven't seen the baby since before Olivia was shot. Later that night we see that even after a great meal with someone Rick loves, Rick still can't sleep. Next, back at Alexandria, we find Tara watching, oh, would you look at that? Judith. Remember her? Tara is fiddling with the shell bracelet that the Oceansider Sydney gave her. The thing that to her represents her inner conflict, whether or not to give up her friend for her family. Now, this scene is, again, in my opinion, another example of really poor writing. This scene is simply telling the audience what's going on. Just like the Rosita scene with Gabriel, this dialogue is too on the nose. They're literally treating the audience like a baby. We all know Tara is a great actress and can deliver the dialogue great, but it just again felt unnecessary. Tara then gives her shell bracelet to Judith, an act that in a lot of ways says that she cares more for these people than she does about Sydney. If she's not going to keep that, why would she keep her promise to her either? Back with Rick and Michonne, they are setting out their plan to take down the zombies. He'll get the one on the way to the car, and Michonne, you get the rest. You're leaving me 8? This is about doing it quietly, with the sword. You can handle 8. This, I love. She starts banging on the dumpster. Boom, boom. She backs up and a walker follows her behind the dumpster. And then there's 2 great shadow kills. For anything that this episode lacked, it did not lack for zombie action. Rick gets to the car to find a soldier zombie that has crashed through the front of it. Rick is startled by it and goes to attack it with its hatchet, but he can't really access it. I waited so long for them to finally introduce Rick's hatchet. In the comics, he finds it in like issue 2 when he gets a horse. It's just on a stump and he's had it ever since. In season 2 of the show, when a young Carl finds a bunch of melee weapons, there was a hatchet in it and I was like, oh yeah, season 2 and finally Rick's gonna get his hatchet. But no, he didn't get a hatchet until halfway through season 4. And even after all that, twice this episode, Rick has put it away due to its total uselessness. I mean, when will this axe ever be useful? Somebody's getting their hand cut off this season. I just got a feeling. He starts to pull it off piece by piece. It's pretty funny and a well-executed zombie gag, but it's still just a little too cavalier and fun. It makes us feel like there aren't really any stakes here. Out of nowhere, a gun starts firing, and then I was like, oh yeah, halfway through the episode and we're finally gonna have something happen. But no, a zombie wearing a gun got the trigger stuck in some rebar, but it was firing automatically. They both then get the car rolling, only to find that the brakes don't work. It sends them careening into a ditch, where the car becomes surrounded by zombies. They have a nice little moment in the car checking on one another, before bursting out the very convenient sunroof. They both jump over a small fence and then start to take out the swarm as they push up against it. There's some good Rick Hatchet kills, but soon the fence is broken and the zombies chase them through the carnival. They split the small herd up and we get this awesome killing montage. Swoosh, swoosh, ka, tu, krr. It is shot and edited very similar to when the Alexandrians took down the herd in the mid-season premiere of season 6. Both of these scenes are homages to the way Robert Kirkman, the writer of the comics, and Charlie Adlard, the artist for the comics, organized these big mass battles with a 16-paneled grid featuring all of the major players killing zombies. It's really cool that they can evoke this same type of feeling in the show. In the middle of the action, Rick looks over and he sees the deer that got away earlier in the episode. He, being by the Ferris wheel, climbs up to try to get a shot at it when the number of zombies start to approach the deer, meaning that if he shot it, it would get eaten anyway, so he lets it go and it runs away. Now, a brief note, some of these zombies are handcuffed. I've heard some rumors that people think this is representative of something from the future of the comics, but I disagree with that. I still think this is just something that builds the story behind this carnival. While I'm on the topic of the future, I should say that at the beginning of the season I thought that we were going to get the end of the war at the end of the season. But at the pace they're going, it is very clear that this second half of season 7 is simply the march to war. Just then the Ferris wheel cart breaks and he falls on the ground. Michonne shouts out, "Rick!" Back on Rick, the zombies are coming closer. Then on Michonne running, almost in tears. When she finally gets there, she finds Rick Grimes being devoured. and she is crushed. She drops her sword, leaving herself defenseless, ready to die. She's bawling. Man, they really milk this. Why? None of us thought that Rick was dead. Rick pops up and throws the katana at her. Shing! This could have been way too cheesy, but honestly, I totally fucking liked it. However, if I was Rick, I totally wouldn't have thrown it, I would have used it. Because, like, what if she's still in shock and she just gets impaled? After that, the two of them embrace, and Rick says, I still owe you one. I guess the zombies were eating the deer. I'm not sure how they caught it, and how it got exactly where Rick was the last time we saw him to appear to be like Rick. So it was a little contrived, a little unbelievable, but pretty fun. Next we see them gathering all of the guns they've most certainly earned. Later in the car, Michonne is leaning up against the window. She's broken, traumatized by seeing Rick die. I really love the shot that starts on her face, pans over. We get a look at the supplies, including water bottles, and then it gets to Rick. It really shows the distance between them. Compare it to the shots at the beginning of the episode where it was framed from the side. Their heads are close together, they look together, but this shot is long and it takes forever to get over to Rick. It's directing with purpose, and I love it. Rick stops the car. Rick, I haven't been sleeping. Thinking about what we lost. And that gets Michonne's attention. She's thinking about what she almost lost. And now Rick is opening up to her when, over the whole course of the episode, he's been this light, bubbly, carefree kind of guy. Keeping it in. She knows that he hasn't been sleeping at night. She was asking to take watch in the very first scene. Thinking about my friends. Glenn saved me right at the start. I couldn't save him. His eyes start to fill with tears and he puts a hand up. I know, it's normal. I know that. Being stuck on it. We're gonna fight them, and we're gonna lose people. Maybe a lot of them, maybe even each other. And Michonne turns away. She can't take it. Even then, it'll be worth it. And she starts to lose it. When I thought that I can't lose you. He said, you asked me what kind of life we had just surrendering. It wasn't a life. What we did back there, making a future for Judith, for Glenn and Maggie's baby, fighting the fight. I forgot to mention earlier in the woods, before they see the Saviors playing golf, Rick catches Michonne smiling and he's like, what? And she says, we're just fighting the fight, which makes that a double line. That's living. You showed me that. You can lose me. I can lose you. And if it's me who doesn't make it, you're gonna have to be the one who leads the others. 'Cause you're the one who can. How do you know? Because you led me here. Boy, this covers a lot. Rick finally, after 11 and a half episodes, he brings up how he feels about Glenn, with it leading into him saying that they can die, and they can make it after that. There's something I really wanted Rick to say that he didn't. In the comics, after Abraham dies, Rick is talking to Andrea, who he's in a relationship with instead of Michonne. And because Rick never really formed a relationship with Abraham, he says, I'm already starting to forget him. Abraham. In the comics, it was a very important moment for me, a very human moment, and I thought it would be great here for Rick to talk about someone he missed, but also talk about someone that he's forgetting. I think it would actually honor Abraham's memory more if Rick was even thinking about him, instead of just not mentioning him. Speaking of Rick and Andrea in the comics, I've wanted to bring something up for a long time, and it's that I think that I don't like Michonne. I love comic book Michonne. She's one of my all-time favorite characters in anything. But she is very different than TV show Michonne, at least to a point. In season 3, Michonne was Michonne. Then Andrea died, and they started to rewrite Michonne to become Andrea. To me, it just feels wrong. Comic book Michonne would not be crying right now. She would be like, Rick, you can't do that again. We don't die. I can't go through that. This is just Andrea, and I don't even think Michonne is a good Andrea. They had to ruin the real Andrea. They also had to ruin Michonne by making her Andrea. It's a mess, in my opinion. I want to love these two together, but I feel like it's a little forced, because it is forced. Because the Michonne I know, that I believe in, that I've been reading about for years, just isn't what I'm seeing in the show. We're the ones who live. Give me a break. But now let's talk about the point of all of this. In this, Michonne experienced Rick's death, and we got to see how she would react in that circumstance. I don't think we're ever going to see that again. Rick here says, I might be the one who died, and I would be okay if you died. That's not true. I think at the end of the season that they are going to fake kill Michonne. Rick thinks he can handle it. Well, let's just see. I think definitely not in this season finale, because there is no fucking way they're going to give us a cliffhanger again, but most definitely in the episode before the season finale. I think at the end of that, we're going to think Michonne's dead for a whole week. And so will Rick, and we'll see that he can't really take that. But she won't die. She'll be fine. Back at the junkyard, Rick is handing over a whopping 63 guns to the scavengers. Jadis says, operational? Oh yeah, we cleaned a few of them. She says again, operational? Double line. Not enough. Rosita's outraged. You asked for a lot of guns. This is enough to fight your fight, us nearly twice. Need nearly twice. We're keeping 10 for ourselves. To find more. She says 5. Yes, another Jadis and Rick negotiation scene. 10. 6. 10. 9. And the cat back. She's obviously referring to the metal cat that Rick stole, that he gave to Michonne. This gets under Rick's skin a little bit. 20. I keep the cat. We get you the guns. We fight together. Say yes. And she looks at him. Yes. Yeah, she fucking loves Rick. Because he steps up to her. Neither of them know how to really negotiate. He's saying what he wants and she's giving it to him. Michonne goes up to Rick. So, what are we gonna do? We'll look for more guns? And he says, in a few more days. She says, a few more days. But obviously to Rosita, a few more days is not soon enough. Back at Alexandria, Tara runs into Rick as she's coming out of her house. I was just coming over to see you. What's up? Have you seen Rosita? She didn't show for a guard shift this morning. She probably just went out to look for more. Why were you coming by? And then she decides, I have something to tell you. Alright, it took a whole episode, but Tara is finally going to tell Rick about Oceanside. Next, at the hilltop, we see Rosita trudging to behind the Barrington house. This definitely took place after episode 10, so I would have to assume that Daryl has made his way here after leaving the kingdom. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him maybe paying respects to Glenn or being involved with anything we're about to see. If Rosita wants to fight, Daryl definitely does too. Hell, he punched Negan for Rosita. But instead, Rosita sees Sasha, who is mourning Abraham's body. At first, she seems a little annoyed, like, okay, I'll give you your space. But Rosita says, I'm here because I need your help. And immediately, Sasha understands. One condition, I get to take the shot. If you look closely, you can see that Sasha is wearing the necklace that Jesus gave to her, that Abraham left at the hilltop, that he got from Rosita. She obviously doesn't know that Rosita made that for him and is just wearing it to honor him. Rosita didn't seem to notice it here, but I feel like this necklace is going to play a very major part in the finale of these two stories. What if in the heat of the moment, right when the shot is about to be fired, Rosita sees this necklace and she stops being in the moment? What if that causes her or Sasha to be killed, or someone else? A little bit of real talk right here. Sasha, Sonequa Martin Green, has gotten another show deal. She is going to be in the new Star Trek series. Now, I don't know how many people would agree to be in a historically long-running show like Star Trek if you're a permanent cast member on The Walking Dead. I don't know about the filming schedule or anything, and sure, people from The Walking Dead have filmed other stuff in the past, but not another series. So I think near the end of the season, when they fake out Michonne's kill, they are actually going to kill Sasha. Now, I don't want that, but if the necklace comes into play and is the reason for the downfall of everything, if Abraham is the cause of the downfall, then I would love it. That is character. That is good. So, let's see what happens. Rosita didn't bring any explosives from the highway, but she did bring a giant 50 caliber sniper rifle. So you can take your shot. And double line. Rick and Michonne found guns, but they're not ready to move. They can't. They need more guns, more people, more time, more excuses. I memorized everything Daryl and Carl told Rick about the inside of Negan's place. Jesus made me a map of the outside. It's far away, it's well defended. There's only 2 of us. You changing your mind? I'm ready to kill him, but I need to make sure you know what this means. Do you? Can't catch us alive. If they do, we give them something. It's a one-way ticket for both of us. If it is both of us. It is. And that's a wrap. I love the sound of this mission. I'm excited. These two have been wanting to do this, beating around the bush for the whole season, and finally, hopefully, they're going to do something. Next episode seems to be all about Carol. I wouldn't be surprised if these two, Sasha and Rosita, are the ones who break the news about Glenn and Abraham. They want to fight. They would love to get Carol riled up. She's a machine, and I think that's what they're gonna do. I was pretty annoyed with Rosita when she told Morgan very quickly what Negan had done, and most of us probably won't like it when she tells Carol after Daryl made this great sacrifice to not tell her. But I feel like that's the direction we're going. If that's not the case, I still think Carol's gonna find out. And I think she'll run into these two, and these 3 girls can do anything. But as always, at a cost. Alright everybody, that is one of your classic filler episodes of The Walking Dead. It has its good moments, its unbelievable moments, its cheesy moments. But in the last 3 scenes, it gives us some resolution, some furtherment of the story, and it gets me pumped to see what's next. Last episode I did a lot of comparing between Eugene and Daryl, and I thought it was funny because I couldn't think of a single scene that they had ever had together, and I challenged you, my very limited viewing audience, to find a good scene between Daryl and Eugene. Commenter Bugsy McCoy reminded me of a scene from season 6, the episode where Daryl and Rick, very similarly to Rick and Michonne in this episode, go out into the world and have a good old time. Right before they left, Eugene leans over their car and says they should go look for some sorghum because it's good. So thank you for accepting my challenge. With that, please let me know what you thought of the episode and my review down in the comments section. Go back and check out some of my old reviews. It's basically like watching the episode, except you have less questions at the end of it. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and watch it again. This has been The Dude. See ya.